Greetings, Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. This is Tyra Omilade. I'm Tyra Omilade, your goddess guru, your sister friend, and I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. Just welcome to everyone to the G Hive, the Goddess Hive. Welcome to everyone who's new here. And if anyone finds this video and you don't typically watch my videos, whatever, hello, how are you? And I really and truly just kind of feel like I need something fun and light. Um, and so I decided I love Kendrick Lamar. I've known about him because my sons have told me about Kendrick Lamar for years. And yeah, just always had a lot of respect. But Gen X, baby, I'm being straight up and honest. Last year, with the back and forth between KDot and Drake, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a fan of Kendrick. He gets me amped, baby. When I need to feel like, all right, I need to ignite my inner warrioress. I'm gonna turn on some Kendrick Lamar so I can go off, baby. And just, all of the discussion that has been going on since the Super Bowl halftime show and just what he sets off. So much discussion and everyone digging into the layers and irritating people, some people, whoever, whatever. I love it. I'm just like, I love this so much. It's so fun. And I need some fun right now. So I decided to look at his birth chart, and it's really, really interesting what I found. So let me just pull that up. He is a Gemini. One of my favorite post. One moment. Yeah, but one of my favorite post halftime show comments was by a woman who's a Gemini. She's a Gen Xer like me, and she was just like, Kendrick Lamar was so petty, and I was like, "You're a Gemini too, aren't you?" Geminis can be petty in the sense that it's like they can clap back because, so many Geminis have the gift of words. All right. So yeah, he's a Gemini sun sign and his moon is in Pisces. And interestingly, he is a Libra rising. I was like, oh, go Kendrick. So, he definitely has some creative energy in his chart. um, yeah, he's very creative. But let's just kind of look and see what we see here. So, yes, Kendrick Lamar is a Libra rising, and Libra is very intelligent. This is a sign that has to do with art, also. Um, and it's like this refinement. Libra is going to have the best of everything. This is a very um, elegant sign. It also could be elaborate and, just ornate and all that kind of good stuff. I do kind of find the Libra risings who were born with Pluto in Scorpio. I'm like, they kind of have some money going on. Thinking about, well, that's not Beyonce, but yeah, I'm thinking of some Libra risings who have Pluto in Scorpio, and I'm like, they can make the money, the coins happen. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. But anywho, something that I was wondering is what is going on in Kendrick Lamar's first house that he is short? And sure enough, he has the South Node here. And the South Node is, well, right opposite the South Node is the North Node. They travel together, they're connected to one another. They are what cause the eclipses to happen. And when you have one of the nodes in your first house, it will make something stand out about you. So the part of the eclipse point, this node is called the South Node or K2 in the Indian tradition, the Hindu tradition. It is all about releasing and letting things go. It's about not having attachments. It's detachment. And so to a certain degree, that describes Kendrick Lamar. He has been clear that he does not need to be an insider in the music. industry, which we know can be so corrupt and evil in my mind. And he's just like, I'm good. He even disses them a little bit in some of the songs that he says or exposes them, however you want to say it. It is definitely when you have the North Node in the first house, you can be somebody who is very selfless. This part of the eclipse was honored and revered in ancient times, in ancient Indian days, or in ancient India, because it kept the community safe, because it's not about the self. Whereas this node over here is more like, I'm just focused on me. But that south node makes you care about other people, and you're not going to be aggressively going out of after things and after power and just voracious. It's more of this release and let go. But when you have one of the eclipses in your first house, it influences how you look. And so having that south node in his first house, I think it's kind of like speaking towards his height. Because I'm just like, I love that Kendrick Lamar is just who he is. It's just kind of like, it don't matter how tall I am, baby. That don't mean nothing. Coming with the juice. But I do also find it interesting that he is a Libra, which is all about um, other people. Libras like to collaborate, you know? So he definitely is somebody who wants to collaborate, and when we think about the local community, it's at the top of his mind because, the Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, the air signs, they are all about other people in groups, you and other people, okay? So Kendrick Lamar will always be somebody who is for the people, who wants to collaborate. And with him having this South Node here in his first house, he wants what's best for everybody. He has this selfless energy about him. And then Gemini represents the community, the local community. And so this is why he is all about Compton, and why he's bringing, the gangs together and working to bring in the peace and all that kind of thing. And, that is who and what he is. Now, we want to look over in this right opposite Libra is Aries, which is when we're looking at astrology, like these little pie pieces tell us also, what does this have to do with? So the seventh house actually is a relational house. And so there he has the North Node. And the North Node is what you're going for. The North Node is like the direction you're headed in. It will be your focus in life. It's a part of your purpose and your mission. And it's so interesting because this seventh house, the energy that sets the tone for this house is actually Libra. Now, we don't all have the same signs on all the houses. That's based on what time you were born, on the day you were born. Um, but it just so happens that for Kendrick Lamar, the opposite sign of his rising sign um, is Aries, but it's on a house that's actually the tone and the meaning is set by Libra, even with Aries being there. And so Aries is like what you're focused on. And a lot of times it does have to do with being more me focused, but you can't get away from Aries being on the seventh house. It can make you very, very passionate and hyper focused on relationships. Now, it doesn't necessarily make you the best. I do find, no disrespect to Libras, but I do find a lot of Libras, not all, actually struggle with relationships. And part of it is because, they're here to master that. Just because you're born under a particular sign doesn't necessarily mean that you haven't mastered. It's a case by case, basis. So, yeah, Kendrick Lamar, I would say, on the one hand, is very much about relationships. He's hyper focused on relationships. The seventh house also is about, and Libra, the seventh house and Libra, they're like the same. They're very similar. It's about things being fair and justice. This is very important to people like this. It's like we can't I'm the same way. I have planets in the 7th house. I can't stand for things to not be fair. And that is something. Oh, it's also peaceful. That 7th house wants peace, it wants harmony. And so, Kendrick Lamar has, you know, Aries there, and he will fight for it, right? He's trying to bring peace and harmony, and he will advocate, though. He will fight for it. He has this very important point here, North Node, which is what he's here to do. It's why he's doing such a good job at it. It's why he's doing things that other people could not do, especially when we think about the concert that he had last summer. And then he has Jupiter there. And Jupiter just expands things. And, Jupiter is a sign. I would say Jupiter and that 7th house energy and him being a Libra, he's a diplomat. He's very much a diplomat. So relationships are everything. Another relational part of the chart is this third house. And here, I mean, Saturn being there can be a little challenging. I can talk about his mental health. That would be something that lends itself to mental health challenges. But make no mistake about it, if you have planets in a particular house, it will bring an emphasis to that house. That house will be important. So he has Saturn there and he has the planet Uranus in his third house. So the third house is like Gemini. And so Gemini is this sign that's about the local community. It's about, your siblings, your cousins, your neighbors. He will always be somebody who will be about bringing the community together. And I guess I can see too just how his beef with Drake is so much about for the culture and the community. And of course, he oh, I had a candle that went out and I'm like, why am I smelling smoke? He, is like we put in Compton and I don't know all of the areas, but that whole part of California where he's from, he's putting that on the map. Like, we don't even care if y'all like us. You see in the videos, everybody in the community is there. You know, a lot of times Libra is like, baby, I'm gonna go live in, a mansion. But because he has that South Note there, there would be I don't know where Kendrick Lamar lives, but I can tell you he'll never be afraid to hang out in the community. So he has so many planets that or indications of community is important. Last one is right here, this part of his chart is ruled by the sun. And where is his sun? Is here in this important sign, Gemini. And so this 11th house right here is about the collective. This man is here to bring meaning and purpose and a vision. And, he's like this master teacher for the collective. So that's pretty amazing. And this is not necessarily what I would call an easy chart. It's a little bit of a challenging chart, and it just shows that you can have challenges and you can still do great things. You don't need to have great astrology. You don't need to have a perfect chart. You just need to work with what you have chosen. I believe we choose our charts. You just need to work with it. Because having the South Node in the first house, I think it could lead to depression. I really do. Having Moon in Pisces can lead to mental health issues. And then the place where it is here in the chart in the sixth house, it can really lead to a lot of challenges in health and well-being. Okay. Having Saturn here in the third house, even in the sign of optimism, which is um, Sagittarius. Saturn is like, I want to just give you just enough. I don't want you to have any more than you deserve. As a matter of fact, I only want you to get what you deserve. I want to look at what you've done and I'm going to dole out what you deserve based on that. You're not getting no freebies, it's no handouts. And here we have Sagittarius, which is growth and expansion and optimism and hope. And what is Saturn doing? It's contracting it. And the third house is the house of the mind. And so it can I've noticed people with Saturn in the third house, it can create depression, it can create challenges with learning. So that's something else I noticed also here. So yeah, let's see here. Was there anything else that I thought about with him and his mental health? So yeah, that I found interesting also. So Kendrick Lamar, okay, let's talk about his creativity. So first and foremost, he has Libra, totally a creative sign. All right. Um, Pisces, totally a creative sign. Having Jupiter in Aries, because Aries is extremely creative. Jupiter it expands and it's actually, it can be creative also. But it's in Aries, so it's really increasing this Aries energy. So that is extremely creative also. I want to say, mm, mm, I don't know. I was gonna say, I want to say having these planets in Sagittarius in the third house. I think it helps him to channel his creativity. I don't know if that's exactly creative energy, but I think it helps him to channel it. He has Mars here in Cancer, close to his MC. So that can, on one hand, help to also make him creative. Mars is innovation, and it can be a creative planet. It can really get things going. So he definitely has a lot of creative energy. And I think even too, having that Sun and Venus, both of these are creative planets here in Gemini that can make him very creative with words. And I think that Kendrick Lamar, especially with that Pisces moon, he channels. He has to channel. It's like something happens and it's like this flow that begins to happen. And it is connected a lot to pain. He has here, um, this is called Chiron, and Chiron is a wound. It's where we have a wound. So he definitely has a wound and it shapes how he sees the world. 'Cause that's where this ninth house is. It shapes how he sees the world. He has Lilith here, which is about empowerment, disempowerment, that kind of thing. So yeah, a lot of this is being informed by um, this wounding that he has received. And I think that the more he is able to do his art, it helps him to tap into his inner power. And on some level, he receives a healing from it. Um, so I think that part of the reason Kendrick Lamar is so sharp, he's a warrior, a warrior, is because he has this Mars close to this thing right here. It's called the MC. And that's the career point. So I can imagine, like, I've watched videos that kind of imagine what Kendrick Lamar does to create. And I kind of, it's like he is in the studio all night. And then it's kind of like, okay, let's go home. We've been here all night. Let's wrap it up. Come on, come on. And the next thing you know, Kendrick Lamar is like, we're gonna do this again. And it was so funny. I'm not a part of this hip hop culture per se. I just have to watch the young folks, but to see how excited they were all getting, because it's like, okay, Drake dropped a diss track, Kendrick dropped one, then Kendrick dropped another. I don't remember the order, but I just remember, it was kind of like back and forth, but then Kendrick came out with like an extra one before Drake dropped one. This band is driven beyond. uh, a normal human being. And when you have a lot of creative energy, it's almost like you can't turn it off sometimes. It's like, yeah, that might be something that he has to really work at, learning how to turn it off because it's always just gonna be something there. And I just think it's so interesting, and I'm gonna tell you why I think Kendrick Lamar is just doing so much is, people hadn't heard from Kendrick Lamar, I think in a couple of years. People had kinda given up on him, producing anything else. And I think that maybe he just went into a little bit of a time where this Saturn really kinda kicked in, and he just didn't wanna do, it's like, "Shut it down. I just need to shut things down." Um, but then, old Drizzy decided he wanted to do what he does and, poke the bear, the sleeping bear called Kendrick Lamar. And I just think it was divine timing. Like, I believe we all have timing in our charts, and somebody's gotta be the thing that helps to kick it off, right? So, that's part of the reason I think that Kendrick well, first of all, I think Geminis can be very, uh, mm, they can be sharp. I can't like, a lot of, um, comedians are Gemini, and, it's just like, you don't wanna mess with them. Like, you do not wanna mess with these Geminians. Their minds think a little bit differently too, and, yeah, they could and, in the house of mine down here, which is almost like Gemini, he has Uranus, and it's just like, not only is he gonna say something, it's gonna be out of this world. Uranus is just like, "Baby, you don't even know what to expect from me." But then he has this Mars up here. Oh, actually, his Mars is right there with his Mercury. I just noticed the degrees. So his Mars is with the Mercury, which means that he will have a sharp tongue. Baby, he will come for you. He is a warrior with words. He does have a lot of fearlessness about him too. Like, you know, maybe some of it is nurture, being raised up in the community where he was raised up, and, and then some of it is just who he is, like, do not come for Kendrick, you know, he's gonna come for you. Um, so this Pisces moon makes him also very caring, and it's in the 6th house, and he wants to take care of people. He wants to help people get on, into a better spot and be better. And there's a lot of compassion and care. He'll always be somebody who's giving back to the community. If he didn't, I would be very surprised. I don't remember his full childhood. I know he was raised up by both of his parents, if I remember correctly. But Neptune in this 4th house, that's kind of hardcore. It definitely can speak to there's a lack of boundaries of some sort. It's sort of like Pisces, and sometimes that energy, it can go through a lot. It can go through a lot. So, I think that's interesting, but it does also kind of speak to his love for his people, having Mercury and Mars in Cancer. He loves his people. He loves his culture because Cancer is your culture. Um, you know, his brilliance is being, this Gemini. Gemini is a very intelligent sign. Libra is very intelligent. He has energy here in the 3rd house, energy here in the 7th house, and his sun is just in a very prominent place. I think the sun is at the top of the chart, just kind of looking at it here, which also makes him a creative genius. It brings this, he said in one of his songs, he's royalty. He means it. That sun where it is, it doesn't have to be in Leo. It's at the top of the chart. That brings in that energy of royalty. So, something that I noticed right away, if we look at like where Kendrick Lamar is today. Well, I want to go back. I looked at when was not They Not Like Us released. and it was May 4th. Well, his birthday is in June, but astrology is like this, it's like a gradient. There's not any hard demarcations. You fade from one phase into the next. So in May, he was phasing out from the previous year to the next year because this is his birthday chart. It's called the solar return chart. This is his birthday chart from 2024. And what stands out to me immediately is number one, this chart is it has a Libra rising sign on it. So if I were to show y'all his chart for this year, it shouldn't be Libra rising. So you can see that was from last year. If we look at his chart, see, for 2025, it's uh, Sagittarius, which just tells me Kendrick Lamar is just going to keep doing what Kendrick Lamar is doing. Like, this is not going away, Drake. Okay. But Drake, I want you to take credit for making all this happen. You can do that. You did poke the sleeping bear, and now the rest of us are so happy. Anywho, that's not all the time, what happens. So a lot of times when I see somebody has the same sign as on their as their ascendant chart on their on their birthday chart, I'm like, whoa, it's gonna be a whole new beginning. So this thing was kicking off anyway. Okay. It was absolutely kicking off. Something new, a new phase was coming. Also, Kendrick Lamar had what we call a um a nodal return. So here is the node at 8 of Aries and then 8 of Libra. This is his birth chart. At the time of his birthday, he had the nodes at 12 and 12. Now, the nodes move opposite the planets. So this node was getting closer to that 8 degree. These nodes were getting closer to the 8 degrees. So he had what is called a nodal return. So first of all, Libra on the is the rising sign for his birthday chart. New beginning. Automatically, I'm like, oh, something it's a new cycle starting. Something he's about to be rebirthed. This thing is going to be amazing. Number 2, nodal return. This is kicking off another 18 years. Okay. So in about 9 years, we're going to see something great and grand, pop up. Maybe even in about 4 years or so, we'll see something great and grand. Maybe 3, 4 years, something great and grand happen. But the reason I mentioned 9 years is because it's gonna be reverse nodal return in 9 years. So, he's had a nodal return, and it's not even over because we have another eclipse coming up in Libra, and it's very close. I think it's at 10 degrees, something like that. It's very close to his nodes. And so, it really kinda speaks to, like, maybe Kendrick took that time off because he was in a little bit of a waning time, and that was leading up to this reset that was happening last year, and just amazing, like, we're gonna hear from Kendrick Lamar quite a bit is my thought because he's had this renewal, and, another thing that I'll say is fascinating to me is that last year Jupiter went into Gemini. And at the time of his birthday, Jupiter was there. It had been there. It was on the 5th degree. He had the sun there, he had Mercury there, and he had Venus there. Now, that Venus being there, I would say Kendrick has had some type of loss over this last year, even with or something karmic around relationships, I could say that. But nonetheless, Venus, Mercury, and the Sun were all there along with Jupiter, really emphasizing this ninth house, which is a house of also publicity. All right. I wouldn't be surprised if he wrote a book, but we'll see. But anywho, it's a house of publicity, and really, it's at the top, so people really see you a lot. So I think that's fascinating. So Jupiter brings it increases wherever it is. Now, Jupiter is not gonna just give you a blessing. I hate to break the news. When my astrology teacher told me this, I was just like, why you tell me that? I wanted the illusion that Jupiter was always gonna give me a blessing. No, Jupiter is sorta like Saturn. I never thought about it like this. It just increases whatever's there. So apparently, Kendrick Lamar in his downtime was doing something right because this Jupiter is coming through and it is bringing abundance. I think that this Jupiter is also helping to bring these downloads. It gives a vision, and he's already a visionary. So it's giving him a vision. And look at what happened. Drake dissed Kendrick. Kendrick, starts creating all this music. Then we get the Pop Out concert, which was ingenious. Have I seen him any other place besides the Super Bowl? And then he gets invited to the Super Bowl. This is not a coincidence. He had to have been sowing some seeds in between, even if it was just he was, like, creating the vision. I remember watching videos because I got so obsessed last year of, DJ Mustard, and Mustard said he would send a track a day at least. I can't remember. Maybe it was 4 or 5 tracks a day to Kendrick Lamar. He was not connected to Kendrick Lamar, before Not Like Us. He wasn't working with them yet, if I remember correctly. So, um, DJ Mustard sent the track, didn't even know that his track had been used until everybody else heard it, right? Um, but anywho, maybe DJ Mustard was sending Kendrick all these tracks, and, it's like Kendrick isn't responding. He has South Node in the first house. This man does not wanna be around a whole bunch of people. Even though he's very community oriented, I can imagine at some point he just is like, "I need everybody to go. I just gotta be by myself." So in that downtime, maybe he was, like, listening to all the tracks from DJ Mustard. Maybe he was writing but not putting anything out. People talk about all the tracks or, all the songs that he had. He even put some out, and maybe some of them were in the, halftime show. It's just kind of like unreleased songs, and he just put them out or whatever per request. Um, so he was doing something right because then Jupiter comes into this house and it would look at the expansion that he's had and is not going to end. It is not going to end. And we need to see what else is going to happen because Jupiter is going to go past this Uranus. Let's see when it's going to happen. I want us to do a little homework. Okay, first let's look. He has Saturn at 17 of Sag because see, Jupiter's up here. What's going to be interacting with the planets that are down here for the first time this year. No, 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 no. It has already interacted with the Saturn. Sorry. So that's it had to have helped him interacting with that Saturn. Oh, so it's going to get to let's just say this is March, right? Right at the end of March, we're gonna see something come up. I don't know if it's gonna be, more of what something with Drake, because we know Drake has been looking at maybe a lawsuit or something like that against the record label, um, or, some type of pushback. But we are gonna start seeing something really kickoff, but I think it'll be him revisiting something. I haven't kept up with everything, so I don't know what has happened, since October. This would have been maybe, let's see, October, maybe like August, September. Something was is that when he found out he was gonna be at the Super Bowl? I don't know. But anywho, we'll see something then up until about, April 19th, and then again, uh, we'll just say even through May. Yeah, most of May, we'll see something significant happen for Kendrick because Jupiter is going to be opposite this Uranus down here and, his Saturn. So that's super interesting, but I do believe that that's part of how he has been able to just have so much success. This Jupiter being in this, significant house and, it's with the sun. Now, I'll tell you what, that's another thing. Jupiter actually is going to meet his sun in the sky. It's going to meet his Lilith. It's already met the Lilith and been close to the Chiron. This was last year, like I said, late summer, early fall. I don't really know what was going on with him then, but I can imagine he was struggling a little bit in some kind of way, but it's gonna meet his sun also. Jupiter this year is gonna meet his sun, and then once it meets his sun, I believe that will be a time when, it's gonna be in that, May, June time, close to his birthday. Let's see here, this year oh, that's from last year. Close to his birthday? Wow. Kendrick Lamar, wow, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be real nice. Let's see here. Yeah. He's gonna be blessed and highly favored this year. I wouldn't be surprised if well, you know what? He's been getting the music award, so, I'm not surprised to see that. I would not be surprised if we see if it's not recognition, I can imagine he's gonna be setting up something. I see him as setting up a foundation if he doesn't already have one, but also, yeah, maybe doing something beyond what he's actually doing now because he has this new year where things are really kicking off. Another thing that just completely and totally fascinates me is here's his Mars, and you can see this green one here up at the top is Mars in the sky. And so he's having what is called a Mars return. This that Mars in the sky has been sitting there on his Mars for a month. This man has energy out the wazoo. Mars is the energy of warrior. Again, he's very innovative, so it's bringing this energy of innovation and it's all, close to his career point. And so it's just setting something in for him. Like people need to understand, just get ready. KDot is here to stay for a little while. I don't know how long he's gonna be around. At least for 2 years, he's gonna be on fire. He is going to be on fire. I still think though that he is doing something at the very least in his community in terms of like community service. I get the sense where he's going to be doing things to help bring the community to bring the community together and empower people and help people get resources and people who are down or like empower the community. He's very much into empowerment. So I find that to be fascinating. I do think that Kendrick Lamar probably needs to make sure he's really taking care of himself. Um, People who are exceptionally driven are sometimes even Pisces can neglect themselves. So I would think that he needs to make sure that he is taking time to slow down and yeah, really take care of himself. Let me see his age. So he's in what we call a second house year at age 37. The second house is very important. And so, yeah, I can imagine Kendrick Lamar has made a lot of money also over this last year. And yeah, he has had this high emphasis and focus on making money. And but that is also about self-care. It is also about self-care. He has, just about 3 more months before he transitions into what is called the 3rd house year, which is his 3rd house. So, it really kind of, for me, drives home that he will be doing a lot more. I probably need to be careful calling him Kendrick Lamar, but maybe he won't be super strict about it. I heard his name is trademarked, I think. KDot. But anywho, yeah, he's moving from the second house year, and which is also a very creative year. And moving into this third house year, which can be about creativity, speaking, and he has Sagittarius there. So I don't know if he's been traveling internationally. So I can imagine he might be doing some international travel also, or maybe just doing more to collaborate with people to support the international community also, or collaborating with people because he is a collaborator. Mhm. Let's see here. So also in astrology, um, the age kind of tells me some other things. And so at the age of 37, there's this energy around the moon and Jupiter. And so, his Jupiter is in a prominent place in his chart. It could definitely be kicking off something new, but it's 37 is a time where we need to be growing. Okay. And his moon, where is he growing? He's growing in his work because that sixth house does have to do with our work, and it's our lifestyle and how we're taking care of ourselves. That's another reason why I think it's important for him to take care of himself because his moon is in Pisces, and there's an emphasis in Pisces right now, which is number one, Saturn, which is very important. Like that Saturn is right there with his moon. Oh my gosh, Kendrick. Yeah, Kendrick really, I need you to take care of yourself, Kendrick Lamar. Because that Saturn can make you feel um a little bit down. The moon is emotion. So yeah, he needs some time to just kind of like be checked out. Like nobody's calling on him for anything. But the other piece is, it's kind of like, hey, you need to make sure that you are bringing some balance. Like, where are you out of order? Where do you need more structure in your lifestyle, and maybe even home and family? It might be a time where it's kind of like, y'all, I've been doing all this here. Right now, I need to go take care of my home and family. He might even we might even find out there's another kid, a baby on the way. Okay. But anywho, let's see here. Moon and Jupiter. Oh, and he's coming out of a moon and Saturn time too. So, but anywho, Jupiter and Saturn, this man is, yeah, 37 has been a year of success. Venus and Mars, which is like, um, it could be creative energy, but also, it's just kind of like, if we want to fight, let's do it. And by the same token, bringing in this energy of bringing the community together. So looking at his 38th year, he's going to be extremely busy. And let's see here. It's a Venus, Saturn, Sun, Saturn, Mercury, Mars. People do not want to mess with Kendrick Lamar right now. But I kind of get a sense that Kendrick Lamar is not gonna just be rapping. I get the sense that I think he could be somebody who goes into politics, maybe not traditional politics. Maybe it's more of like, um, I don't know, community organizing or something like that. I could definitely see him doing that, or I don't know, he's a teacher, so I could see him doing something like that. I mean, he's always gonna do the rap thing, don't get me wrong, but I kind of get the sense because he's maturing, um, I just get the sense that it's gonna be more of this, it's like he's a professor. Maybe he's gonna start his own label. I don't know. Maybe he has his own label. I'm sorry for not knowing if he actually does. But I just get the sense that, he even said it in in the Super Bowl. It's more than something. It's never been just about one thing. It's bigger than that. and that bigger than that piece, I think, is what's gonna actually come out. So that's my prediction for, KDOT is, you know, going ahead and go with that. It's interesting that he naturally is so aligned with his astrology. I love that for him. Um, but I do think that he needs to make sure he has, dedicated time away or else he can get burned out. He has a lot of energy happening in his chart right now. I can imagine he can't even sleep too much. Um, but yeah, that I think self-care is the biggest thing for him and embracing, um, whatever this new direction he's being called to. And I'm just gonna bring up the 2025 chart so we can look at what else do I wanna tell him, in this chart. Yeah, more community organizing, but the thing about KDOT, I can imagine perhaps there will be some legal stuff happening for him over this next year, also, and it's a year of going deep. I think that this could be a year where, he is gonna be doing some deep spiritual dives. But there is a little bit of a caveat in this chart that I see for him because that Mars is on the 29th degree, the day of his, birthday, and so his 38th year can be exceedingly successful, but I do think that there will be a little bit of some challenges coming through, for Kendrick Lamar, but, you know, we all will have those days come. We all will have those days come. And, there's also this emphasis on his family. I find it fascinating that the moon is in Pisces on the day of his birthday, because the moon is not all the time gonna be in the sign, your native s your n birth chart sign. So on the day of his birthday, he's about to have a lunar return also. Um, so and it's in a house that has to do with, home and family. So, yeah, there's something about him needing to really balance out career with home, family. I wonder, is there gonna be another baby on the way? Um, Mars on the 29th degree of Leo. Mars rules in this chart, the 5th house. Um, so, yeah, maybe it's just kind of like, you know, that's gonna be a time for Kendrick Lamar to really the 38th year, you gotta pace yourself. I do feel like 38 is a very mature time. Like, for me as a woman, I felt so much more, um, grown up at 38. It was like I finally felt mature. So maybe this is gonna be like the last vestiges of the Drake that we know. Excuse me, the Kendrick Lamar that we know, and then he's going to become somebody new. Um, Maybe in about a year or 2 after his 38th year, 38, 39, something like that. So, I think it's gonna be a little bit of a rough year in some regards, but in other regards, I think career-wise, Kendrick Lamar will do exceedingly well. Personally, there may be some challenges, but he can overcome them if he would just face them. I just also noticed here Uranus is on the 29th degree. Something is ending for Drake once he turns 38. Oh my God, why do I keep saying that? Something is ending for Kendrick Lamar once he turns 38. So he'll be bringing something to an end. Even though he's had all these new beginnings, he is going to be bringing something to an end. And I think it will be something pretty significant. I think it's gonna be the end. It's like an end of part of what we know about KDOT, okay? That's what I have for you all. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this. It feels good to look at his chart, and, no, I'm not gonna look at Drake's chart. I'm not into Drake. I don't have anything against Drake, to be honest with you. I have no skin in the game. but I am team KDot. And if any time during this um, presentation I mentioned Drake when I meant KDot, pardon me, charge it to my head and not my heart. Thank you all so much. And if you enjoyed watching this, and please give the video a like and support the channel. That's just how it is in these modern worlds of YouTubes, if you would. And let's all together look and see what actually is going to happen. And will K Dot listen to me and take good care of himself and step into this new ambassador type of energy, some type of leader, community leader, outside of being an artist, outside of celebrity, something. Is he going to teach at a university? We'll have to just wait and see. Blessings on K Dot and his family. Blessings on you all also. Blessings of the great mother and the ancestors be upon you and yours now and always. Thank you so much for being here. Peace and love.